if you're in a safe space, not driving or handling any kind of machinery, close your eyes for a couple of seconds and take a deep breath. Notice how you feel right now in this moment. Perhaps notice sensations in your body, your thoughts, the sounds around you. Just allow yourself to breathe and be in this moment, right here, right now. Okay, open your eyes. So, what just happened? You stepped out of autopilot. You became present. That's a form of mindfulness. 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor named Marcus Aurelius was doing the exact same thing. He took the time to reflect on a daily basis. He called it paying attention to the present moment and focusing on what's in your control. Today, we talk about mindfulness like it's this new thing, apps, courses, retreats, but the Stoics were practicing it centuries ago. They just had a different name for it. I'm Lorda Slafer. I'm a life coach and a mindfulness teacher. I help people transform their lives by getting to the root of what's keeping them stuck. And here's one thing that I've learned about mindfulness and Stoicism. They aren't just compatible. Some would say they're two sides of the same coin. One teaches you how to be present, the other teaches you what to do with that presence. Together, they create a path to resilience.
And I'm Maria Savio. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist and life coach. So, welcome back to Coaching Conversations. Let's start with definitions because, these words get thrown around a lot. So, what is Stoicism? Stoicism is an ancient philosophy focused on living with wisdom, integrity, and inner peace, no matter what life throws your way. And it was founded back in Athens by Zeno around 300 BC. And it teaches you that you can't control external events, but you can control your responses. And the key principles of Stoicism are the dichotomy of control, which is what you can control and what you can't control, knowing the difference. The four virtues, which are wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. Rational thinking over emotional reaction, and accepting what is and acting on what you can change. The goal is to develop unshakable resilience and inner strength and to respond to life with clarity and purpose instead of being tossed around by whatever happens that day or by circumstances.
Yeah. And so, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's noticing your thoughts, your feelings, and sensations as they happen without getting swept away by them. You observe and pause as opposed to, reacting automatically. Some key practices are meditation and breathing exercises, body scans, awareness of breath, observing the thoughts without attachment, and being fully present in daily activities. The goal is to break free from autopilot, to stop living in your head, worrying about the future, replaying the past, and start living now. So, mindfulness teaches you to be present, and Stoicism teaches you to think clearly and act wisely while you're present. And this is how they fit together.
Yeah. So here's where it really gets powerful. These aren't separate practices, they do share the same DNA. And regarding present moment awareness, mindfulness says, be here now. Notice what's happening without judgment. And the Stoics say, the present moment is all you have. The past is gone, the future isn't here yet. So focus on now, what's happening at this moment. And Marcus Aurelius, he wrote, confine yourself to the present. That's mindfulness in ancient language.
And regarding observing without attachment, mindfulness says, watch your thoughts like clouds passing by. Don't latch onto them. Stoicism says, your thoughts are impressions. You don't have to believe them or act on them. Epictetus taught it's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. And both are saying you are not your thoughts. You have the power to choose which ones to follow.
Another overlap is acceptance of what is. And mindfulness says, accept the present moment as it is without resistance. And Stoicism says, accept what you cannot control. Focus your energy on what you can. And, like the Epictetus quote, most of you, a lot of us remember Hamlet, he said something similar to that. And when I hear this about accepting what we can and cannot control, I think of the serenity prayer. Lord, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And this isn't, passive resignation. It's radical clarity. You stop wasting energy fighting reality, and you start directing it towards, meaningful action.
Yes. And another shared aspect is emotional regulation. Mindfulness says, feel your emotions without being controlled by them. Create space between the stimulus and the response. Stoicism says, pause before reacting. Choose your response based on reason and virtue, not impulse. Both give you the same superpower, the ability to respond instead of react.
Yeah. And just, one last example. Um, inner peace over external circumstances. The mindfulness is say, peace comes from within, not from changing your external situation. And with Stoicism, it's your happiness depends on your character and your choices, not on what happens to you. And this is really the ultimate freedom when your peace doesn't depend on getting what you want, having people, like you, or things, going your way, you really become unshakable.
Hmm. And I mean, for me, those are like really three game changing habits or freedoms, right? The
Hmm.
the not being dependent on outer circumstances, not caring what people think about you, and not not being tethered to things going exactly the way that you plan them to go. Um, it is something that I struggled with. And yeah, these practices, these, living from these virtues and using these mindful and stoic tools, have really had a great impact on my life. So
Well, just
let's
one
talk
thing,
about, go ahead, Marie.
the accepting things as they are, accepting of what is, I think is such a powerful principle, because there's so many things that we don't control and so many things that happen that can be challenging. And when you have the perspective that, okay, this is the reality of the situation, you don't go under. You're really resilient. You're able to face reality from a different, perspective. You shift and you say, okay, this is what is, what am I going to do next? Instead of wallowing in what is. Because when you accept it, you can move forward. When you fight it, when you have that resistance, that's when you really start to suffer.
Yeah, and that resistance really gets in our way. The inability to accept, all right, well, this is what it is. Now what am I going to do? As
Right.
opposed to, maybe complaining or battling against, this is how it is.
Yeah, no, or wasting time going, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done this and that, or I should have said this, or why didn't they do this, right? Because then you're just spinning your wheels. And that's when you really feel out of control because you can't go back and change it. You know that you're not going to have them say something different than what was already said. The past has already happened. The only thing that you can focus on, as Stoicism and mindfulness teach us, is to be here now, right? To be present.
Absolutely. Our power lies in the present moment. So let's share how to practice them together. So these five practices blend mindfulness and stoicism. So the first practice is the morning check-in. Sit quietly for 5 minutes each morning and take a few deep breaths. Really just tune into the present moment and ask yourself 3 stoic questions. What can I control today? What virtue will I practice? Wisdom, justice, courage, moderation. And how do I want to respond to challenges? And here's why it works. You start the day grounded and intentional. And then practice number 2, the powerful pause, right? When something triggers you, maybe someone cuts you off, criticizes you, disappoints you, pause and take a couple of conscious breaths and ask yourself, what's in my control right now? Choose your response based on values, not emotions. And with this practice, you break the automatic reaction cycle and reclaim your power.
Yeah, and a third practice is the thought labeling. So when you have a negative thought in your mind, right? Notice it, label it. That's a story, that's a judgment, that's my perspective right now. That's an assumption that I'm making. And then ask, is this thought even helpful? Is it true? Is it even true? Is it within my control? And then let it go. If it doesn't serve you, just let it go. And the result you'll find is that you stop believing every thought that pops into your head because, a lot of our thoughts are, just inaccurate, right? And you can become the observer now instead of the victim. And then in the evening, you can practice reflection with mindfulness and, spend 5 to 10 minutes in the evening just reflecting, journaling your answers to a few of these questions. What went well today? Where did I react instead of respond? What was in my control that I totally ignored? What will I do differently tomorrow? Right? So notice any of the emotions that are coming up and do it without any judgment. Being in a state of mindfulness is being in a state of self-compassion. And what you'll gain here is that you'll learn from your day, you'll be able to course correct and hopefully not have the same problem that you had today, tomorrow, as far as how you react and interact with other people and situations. And you'll grow from that.
Mm. And practice number 5, gratitude and impermanence, right? Each day, notice 3 things that you're grateful for. And practice awareness of the impermanence of things by reminding yourself that whatever is in front of you, this won't last forever. And so appreciate what is fully right here, right now. And in this way, you savor the present moment and prepare yourself emotionally for change. You'll hold things lightly, but love them deeply. And these aren't complicated, they are simple, but doesn't mean that they're easy. They require practice, commitment, and showing up for yourself every single day.
Yeah, so let's go into some, some live examples or real life examples. Let's see how a real situation works. So, someone criticizes you. And, I think that we often think that we are being criticized, and sometimes we aren't even being criticized. But let's go with, if someone criticizes you, it's something that we've all experienced. Without mindfulness or stoicism, you are going to immediately feel hurt. You're going to get defensive. You're going to get angry, and you're going to snap back, or, you might even shut down. And you constantly, when you're doing this, you're probably going to replay it all day long. I know that I do. And with mindfulness and stoicism, you're going to instead, you're going to notice the emotional reaction rising, and you're going to pause before you respond. You're going to ask yourself, is this even true? Because most of the time, especially when it's criticism, it's not even happening. And is this in my control? You become engaged, you're present, and you gain emotional control. You choose, and you'll think, I'll consider if it's valid feedback, or you might think, if it's not valid feedback, I'm going to let it go. Either way, it doesn't define me.
And another scenario, let's say you're stuck in traffic. Without mindfulness or stoicism, you might get angry, furious, honking, cursing, stressed. We've all, we've all seen that either depicted in a movie or in real life, right? And sometimes people will get so worked up that it'll ruin their day. With mindfulness and stoicism, you notice the frustration, you recognize, I can't control the traffic. This is out of my control. And you redirect your attention and ask yourself, what can I control in this moment? Your breathing, your response. You can listen to a podcast or music and still arrive to your destination in a state of calm.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is I always have an audio book on when I'm driving, because and then I'm enjoying my book, and it doesn't matter what's going on outside. That's totally within my control. How about you?
You know, I I like to drive in quiet, and I just like to be present in the car, especially if I'm driving by myself. I'll just, you know, bring awareness to my environment as I'm passing. You know, I live in a very green area in terms of like there's always a lot of vegetation, a lot of trees and grass and lawns, and sometimes I can even see the Hudson River. And so I really focus on my environment and appreciating my environment. And so as long as I don't need to use the bathroom, I'm usually okay.
Well, I'm in a city, so I need the audiobook. I'm just seeing a lot of buildings all over. So another scenario is like if you didn't get, a job offer, or maybe you had a pitch that didn't go well, or an opportunity that you thought you were going to get, you didn't get, right? So without mindfulness or stoicism, you can spiral into that self-doubt, right? I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. This is the wrong career for me. I'm not a good salesperson, whatever it is. You're basically asking yourself, what's wrong with me, right? And the list can go on and on. But with mindfulness and stoicism, you feel the disappointment fully, without judgment, without a lot of self-criticism and beating yourself up. And then you reframe it, right? You can say something like, this outcome wasn't in my complete control, and my effort was, and I did the best that I could. And what can I learn from it, right? So you shift right away, you're pivoting. And you start to just move forward. So there's a big difference there. You're not suppressing your emotions, you're not pretending everything is fine. You're feeling it fully, and you're thinking clearly. And that's the power of combining these two practices, the stoicism with the mindfulness.
Mm, yeah. And so here's what happens when you practice mindfulness and stoicism together. You stop living on autopilot. You become fully present in your life. You stop being controlled by your emotions. You feel them, but they don't run the show. You stop taking things personally. You see situations clearly without making everything about you. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control. You focus on what matters, that is within your control. And you develop an unshakable inner peace, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger.
Hmm. Yeah, you do get stronger. You get so much stronger mentally. This isn't about becoming emotionless or detached. It's really about empowerment. You know, present, purposeful, and most of all, resilient. It's about living with intention instead of reaction. And really, it's about free, being free. So, with all of that, we want to give you a little challenge, um, just for the next 7 days, and hopefully you keep the practice going on. But pick one of the practices that we just offered you: the morning check-in, the pause practice, the thought labeling, which is one of my favorites, the evening reflection, the gratitude, and the impermanence, the recognition that things are temporary. And do it every single day for a week, and then notice what changes you start to feel. You'll start to notice, hopefully, that you're calmer, that you're clearer, that you're more in control of yourself.
Mm. So, Maria, w- which of these practices do you do on a regular basis?
The thought labeling, I'm really aware of my thoughts, and I'm able to a lot of times just pivot right away and say, that's nonsense, that's not even real, there's no facts. I like to think, there's no facts for this. So just keep focused. And then I do like the gratitude and impermanence, because when I have something big going on, a project, I try to remember, hey, you only have to do this today. That one step, you only have to take care of it once. Once it's done, it's over. And so knowing that things end, and the constant reminder that things are impermanent, that really helps me to move forward in a lot of the things that I have to do. How about you?
The morning check-in, I kind of actually blend that with a meditation practice. So the pause, right?
Yeah.
Um, but also keeping a gratitude journal. So my introspection, my being in tune with myself really comes in the morning with, kind of three habits stacked together of my gratitude journal, the meditation, and just centering myself. And it makes such a difference when I'm able to do it, as opposed to when I, have to run out of the house very early in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
unable to do them. But it's definitely worth cultivating a practice, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It really is life changing when you do at least one of these practices. You really feel the shift, and you notice it right away. It's almost like once you start to notice how much, you know, or you notice how crazy your stories are in your mind. When you start noticing how crazy they are, I think that really helps you to shift, to say, wait a second, that's nuts, and then move forward with what is actually happening and what was actually said. Keep it factual, because a lot of times it's our crazy story that's creating all of the emotions, not the actual event.
Yeah, it's the what we're thinking about what happened, but when we separate the facts, the details, the actual details of what happened, as
Right.
opposed to the internal monologue about what happened, um,
Right.
that's such a useful tool. So, um, to start to wrap this up, mindfulness teaches you to be present, and Stoicism teaches you to be wise. Together, they teach you to be free. Um, our book, Path to Resilience Small Steps to an Unshakable You, is a great resource to start practicing and gaining resilience. Um, it's we blend the Stoicism and mindfulness. It's a modern interpretation of ancient Stoic wisdom. One quote, one interpretation, one takeaway that you can actually use today. And the more you return to it, the more it returns you to your center.
Thanks for being here today. Special shout out to Elaine. We're walking this path right alongside you. Take care of your heart, take care of your mind, take care of yourself. Support our work by liking, following, and subscribing. And, share this with someone that you feel would get a benefit from it, right? You know, um, Share it with someone who needs a reminder that they're stronger than they think they are. And we'll see you next time.